Hello, and welcome to Recalibrating. My name is Callum, also known as Wanderloots. Join me each week as I learn to better life in every way possible, reflecting and recalibrating along the way to keep from getting too lost. Thanks for sharing the journey with me. This episode is entry number 11, originally published on September 2nd, 2023, entitled Augmented Personal Knowledge Management, Natural Seeking, Intuitive Sense-Making, Economical Sharing. This week, we are going to recap Level 2 of Maslow's hierarchy and map the different topics to the concept of Personal Knowledge Management, or PKM. Last week, we touched on self-regulation and how automation can be used to recalibrate our regulation systems. This week, I thought it would be a good idea to map and recap the different elements of Maslow's hierarchy Level 2, what I'm calling financial security and mental safety. You can see episode number 6 for an overview of this level. We've covered a lot of topics and concepts over the last 5 weeks, and you may be wondering, how do all of these concepts tie together? The answer? Augmented personal knowledge management. Let's dive in. What is personal knowledge management? Personal knowledge management, PKM, or personal knowledge mastery, can be defined as an individual, disciplined process by which we make sense of information, observation, and ideas. There are 4 levels to personal knowledge management. Level 1, storing information. Level 2, managing knowledge. Level 3, enabling action. And Level 4, personal knowledge mastery. You likely have a PKM system, even if you have not thought about it that way. However, most PKM systems are not ready to handle the amount of information we consume on a regular basis. We consume an absurd amount of information every day. In fact, we consume more information in one day than a person in the 1500s did in their entire lifetime. This volume of information is overwhelming, to say the least. To help prevent burnout and that feeling of being overwhelmed, we need to establish systems that help us filter information to avoid information overload. That said, we want to be very intentional about our filtering processes so that we do not filter out valuable information. Most people do not think about this problem. Instead, they doom scroll on social media, consuming more and more information without applying filters to what they are consuming. This indiscriminate, or unfiltered, scrolling puts them at the whim of social media and news algorithms, whose sole intent is to try and make money from their attention. Capitalism does not care that your attention span is shortening and that you feel burnt out from information overload. It cares about making money, by definition. I highly recommend reading the book Stolen Focus to learn more about this problem. While we cannot solve this problem easily at a systemic level, though collectively we can try, we can work to improve how we each individually process information through personal knowledge management workflows. The systems used for information processing will vary from person to person and content type to content type. It is a unique processing system that uses a personalized filter to control information intake and forge useful knowledge from that information. What you find interesting and valuable, someone else will find useless and boring. The goal is to find something that works for you. Personally, I can get decision fatigue and organizational paralysis when I receive too much information. I overthink where I should put the information and how it can best be used. I use a personal knowledge management system to help solve these personal issues. I like to think of PKM as a way to keep my thoughts and knowledge organized while also providing a workflow structure that optimizes the generation of new and original ideas. A PKM system helps reduce the decisions I make on a daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly basis by filtering new information into a place it will be the most effective within my system and within my life. Seek, Sense, Share. In the newsletter, I included a graphic on the 3 parts of a PKM system. I'll describe it here. The first part is seek new information and experiences. The second part is to make sense of the new information, converting it to knowledge. And the third part is to share the knowledge and information with our social networks. The graphic is shaped like an hourglass, with seek at the top, sense at the middle, and share at the bottom. We want to seek interesting people and be curious. We want to make sense by observing, studying, challenging, evaluating, and thinking. And then we want to share. We want to publish, comment, and participate. By creating workflows for our information intake, we establish boundaries on the types and amount of information we receive on a daily basis. These workflows can improve the quality of the information we receive while also reducing the volume of information to make it more manageable. Furthermore, sharing with our networks can validate our thinking and generate network effects, which I'll touch on more later. Seek, sense, share. In the book Building a Second Brain by Tiago Forte, Tiago refers to note taking within a personal knowledge management system by using the CODE method: capture, organize, distill, express. Capture, keep what resonates. Organize, save for actionability. Distill, find the essence. And express, show your work. Code. Mapping code to the personal knowledge management parts that I talked about above, we can map capture to seeking, organization and distilling to sensing, and expressing to sharing. In other words, we can seek new information and experiences, capturing them in a way that works individually. Some common capturing methods include notes, journaling, poetry, art, photos, voice notes, and more. We can then review the captured information and organize or filter it into its proper location within our PKM system. When reviewing the information, we can distill it to its essence, convert it to knowledge, and make it easier to review in the future, thereby saving us time and energy. Once distilled, we can express the knowledge by sharing it with others to foster community and validate information collectively. If you would like more information on the structure and processes of a personal knowledge management system, I included an article in my newsletter that has a great overview on networked learning and personal knowledge management. Here's a quick summary. By seeking, sensing, and sharing on an individual basis, we create the building blocks for a dynamic community of knowledge workers, continuously pushing at the edges of our disciplines. Network learning lays the foundation for the ongoing process of idea management, a necessity in complex work environment that requires continuous adaptation. This sharing and using of ideas is at the core of business innovation, and I would say at the core of what it means to be a self-actualized human. Recapping and mapping to personal knowledge management. In my Recalibrating series, Level 2 of Maslow's hierarchy, we have focused on the first two parts of the PKM system, seeking and sensing, and have briefly touched on the third part, sharing. We have also talked about the concept of a second brain to improve the mental health and efficiency of creators and knowledge workers by augmenting our income-generating flywheels. Let me share my map of what we've covered so far and relate that map to the PKM model to help you make sense of what you've sought so far. Note, I will continue expanding on these topics for my paid subscribers. If you find the concepts of personal knowledge management and building a second brain helpful, in other words, making sense of information overload, please consider upgrading to a paid subscription to learn more about my solution and to join my community. My community is currently on Substack and on Hypersub. You can go to my website at wanderloots.com to learn more. Part 1 of PKM: Natural Seeking. Much of our society focuses on what we should do instead of what we actually want to do. We are conditioned to seek certain types of information and experiences and value them more than others, even if we do not particularly resonate with them. This lack of resonance is, in part, caused by hierarchical organizations that prioritize money over employee happiness and mental health. We are told to do things the way they have always been done. This is not the way. Let's take a look back at episodes 6 to 10 to see how they come into play. In episode 6, Financial Security and Mental Safety, I talked about prioritizing individual mental models for income generation. I provide an overview of operating as a creator or knowledge worker in the modern era of the internet economy and the creator economy, explaining how the value of intangibles, non-physical assets, has risen by 430% over the last 50 years. The existing models were designed for working with physical goods during the Industrial Revolution, or as part of systems that required working in person, traditional knowledge work. With the internet, these models are outdated for many types of income generation, aka work. The existing mental models of working leads to burnout and feeling overwhelmed. This burnout and overwhelm applies to corporations and creators alike, with corporate employees trying to keep up with outdated practices and creators trying to keep up with inhuman algorithms. Clearly, there must be a better way to operate. If you want to learn more about burnout recovery methods, I have an article on my website at wanderloots.com/burnout. Instead of looking forwards to solve this problem, I propose looking backwards. In episode number 7, Building a Sustainable Creation System, I talk about analyzing natural self-expression to identify existing value. Instead of thinking, what can I do to make money in the creator economy? Ask, what am I already doing naturally that could be reframed in a valuable way for others? The creator economy thrives on authenticity. The best way for me to assess what could be valuable for others is to identify what I am already doing to bring value to myself. Creation should inherently be something that is for yourself first. In other words, to determine what to seek as part of your personal knowledge management, look backwards to see what you have naturally been seeking all along. These existing experiences and information will provide a natural compass to point you in your direction. This compass is not fixed to a specific right direction. Instead, it is something that should be recalibrated on a regular basis to ensure that you are still going in a way that works for you. Our society often encourages a lack of change and growth, but this stagnation arises from fear and is not to be trusted. Part 2 of Personal Knowledge Management: Intuitive Sense Making by Learning and Reflection. Continuing with episode number 7, I discussed the impact of self reflection and analysis. Phrased another way, making sense of what you have been seeking. In a way, this episode number 11 is a form of making sense of episodes 6 to 10 that came before it. I am analyzing the information I have researched and produced, reflecting on its meaning, and how I can recalibrate my systems to make more sense than before. In episode number 7, I also discuss Bloom's taxonomy and how information can be processed to develop knowledge and maximize its impact. As a quick recap, Bloom's taxonomy is a pyramid shape, starting with remember and moving upwards to understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. By remembering basic facts and concepts and learning to explain ideas or concepts through understanding, we can use that information in new situations, draw connections amongst other ideas through analysis, evaluate our decisions, and then produce new or original work. Bloom's taxonomy is a way of seeking, sensing, and then sharing. Reflection is an important part of the PKM system. If we do not review what we have done, how can we assess the impact of our actions? This reflection process should consider the types of actions we like doing, but also the types of actions that burn us out, as I discuss more in episode 8. Developing mindfulness and metacognition, thinking about thinking, are great skills to reflect and analyze our PKM systems. I discuss both metacognition and mindfulness a lot more in episode number 10. Also, you can check out a full mindfulness guide at wanderloots.com/mindfulness. Part 3 of Personal Knowledge Management: Economical Sharing by Generating Passive Income. With the sustainable creation system and the concept of 1,000 true fans talked about more in episode number 7, I expanded on these topics in episode number 8, Creating Income Without Burnout. This system is designed to maximize momentum and minimize friction of a passive income flywheel. To generate income, we must leverage the third part of the PKM model: share. Publishing content, including creation and knowledge work, to the public is an essential act that spins the passive income flywheel. If we do not share the information we have consumed and the knowledge we have gained, there can be no external impact, also known as no passive income generation. To assist with the publication process, we can leverage new and existing technologies such as automation systems and artificial intelligence. In episode 9, How to Learn to Live with AI, I talk about using AI as a tool to augment creation and knowledge work. In episode 10, Automating Self-Regulation to Solve Future Problems Now, I talk about how our habit systems can be used to our advantage to solve our consistent problems. That said, these tools are merely that: tools to help share my publications. To meaningfully increase the impact of my publications, I need to build my 1,000 true fans. Community. Summary of Personal Knowledge Management. In summary, to maintain financial security and mental safety, we can 1. Seek out what we have already been doing. 2. Make sense through analysis, metacognition, and self-reflection, creating based on what we are seeking. And 3. Share what we have created to spin our passive income flywheels, generating financial security over time. It is important to recognize that financial security from passive income does not happen immediately. It is a slow build over time. 1% better every day is 37 times better than last year. One of my favorite quotes from Atomic Habits. The greatest impact on a passive income system will come from fostering a community of 1,000 true fans to support you. But what does it mean to foster community? To answer that question, we must move onwards, outwards, and upwards to level 3 of Maslow's hierarchy: belonging and love, community. Instead of just thinking, I seek, I sense, I share, we can think, I seek, I sense, and we share. We build community. Looking ahead, storytelling as social sharing. With an understanding of the seek and sense portions of personal knowledge management and one aspect of sharing, passive income generation, we have now finished our review of level 2 of Maslow's hierarchy: financial security and mental safety. This entry brings an end to the physiological needs of the hierarchy. The third part of personal knowledge management, sharing, bridges perfectly into the next level of Maslow's hierarchy: belonging and love needs, community, the first aspect of psychological needs. To address this topic, we will be reviewing the most ancient and effective form of sharing: story. Stay tuned. P.S. I realize there is much more to be said about the topics we covered in Level 2: metacognition, second brains, AI, passive income, automation systems, and more. These topics take a lot of time and energy for me to elaborate on as I structure a natural creation system template for myself and others. In light of the extra effort I'm putting into the system, I am saving my most valuable discussions and templates for my paid subscribers. If you're interested in learning more about personal knowledge management, using AI, and building automated income systems, all as a part of your second brain, please consider upgrading your subscription to paid. Your support means more than you know. If you are not interested in a paid subscription but would like to show your support, feel free to subscribe anyways or buy me a coffee to help keep my energy levels up as I write more. And postscript. I have finally launched my print shop and am excited to start sharing it more. If you're interested in checking it out, please go to my website at wanderloots.com and click on the print shop to see a range of landscape, astro, and wildlife photography. Thanks again for listening to this episode of my Recalibrating podcast. If you found this episode helpful, I would really love if you would consider please sharing this episode with a friend. Word of mouth is by far the best way for me to help grow my 1,000 true fans and build up my brand as I build up my sustainable creation system. It helps me more than you know, so I really appreciate your support. Thanks again for listening, and I will see you in the next episode.